Now let's talk about another important part in the C Sharp, which is the access modifiers. As I mentioned before, in order to create a function, for example, you have to set the access modifier. Now I will be explaining what are the access modifiers in C Sharp. These are the main access modifiers in C Sharp: public, private, internal, and protected. I want to focus now on these four access modifiers. What is the public and what is the private, the internal, and the protected, and what are the differences between these access modifiers? First of all, the public. If you use the public keyword, this means whatever you are going to create will be accessed from anywhere. Anywhere means inside your project or from outside your project. If there is another project linked with your project, so the external project can access anything public. We will see this in an example also. The private means that whatever you are going to define or to create as a private will be only accessed inside the class. If you remember, we said the class is a code container. Everything inside this class, if it's private, will be accessed only inside this class. For example, if you have a function called, for example, get student name, and it's a private, so no one can access this method, only inside this class.
The internal means that everything you are going to define as internal will be visible and accessible within the project only. So any other project cannot access anything defined as internal, and this is what we call assembly. Every project has its own assembly, so the internal will be accessible within the assembly.
And the protected means that this protected function or protected member will be only accessed inside the same class or inside the derived class. Regarding the derived class, I will be explaining this in the object-oriented session. Now let's see how this works in an example. Imagine that I have a university project. This namespace, university project, and inside this namespace I have two classes. The first one is public, called teacher, and the second one is student, also public. So this class can be accessed from outside of the university. If we come to the school project here, this school project can access the public classes here, this and this. But if we come here to the school and we found this public, this means that the university also can have an access to this class, teacher class. But the university can't access the student class because it is internal. And internal means it can be accessed only inside the school. So this class can access this class. The teacher class in the school can access the student class in the school because it is internal. Now let's go inside these classes. I have a public method, so this also can be accessed. Inside the student class, I have a private method or private function. This means that this method can be only accessed inside this class. So this class can't access this because it's private. So it is restricted to this class. And this action or these methods, it's also public. So this can be accessed also by these classes or by this class also. But this one can't be accessed by these classes, even it's public, but because its root internal, so it's only restricted to this namespace or to this project. So this method can be accessed only inside the school and can't be accessed from outside. Now let's go to the Visual Studio to understand it in an example.